I've started recording, and I share the screen. All right. So I think all of you can now see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we were discussing about random variables. Before we discussed random variables, we were discussing about sample space. Uh, First, we said what is a random experiment. Then we said what are the outcomes of the random experiment. Then we defined that those outcomes, they gave us the sample space, and any outcome of the sample space basically belongs to that sample space. Okay? The next thing is that our sample space could be discrete, or it could be continuous or non-discrete. So meaning of discrete is that it is countable. It is the main thing, it is countable. Okay? For example, 1 2 3 4 5 6, yes, it is a discrete, and it is discrete because it is countable, and all the numbers can be very well counted, and it is also finite. It could also be infinite, but then it must also be uh, countable. All right, the main thing is that it should be countable. Achha, but we could have our space, uh, for example, a continuous, for example, a uniform random variable. All right, I will not discuss random variable at this point. I just try to build the building blocks of this lecture. Okay? So we could also have continuous sample space. For example, I say I can choose any real number, real number between 0 and 1, between 0 and 1. So in that case, you can very well see you will have infinite possibilities and uncountable numbers between 0 and 1. So I am hearing this, क्या कहते हैं, this noise. So if someone has basically, I think if someone is maybe, please unmute yourselves so that we do not hear. All right. All right. Good. So if you please hear your noise, you can mute yourself. All right. And in this way, we won't be having these interferences. I actually also have learned this online teaching last year. So I was also in a meeting, and I realized that my mic was making noise. I was not making noise, but still, due to the environment, uh, noise was there. And actually, this online class is also a very good example of communications through networks or through physical layer. Acha. So I have discussed you that sample space or possible outcomes of your random experiment could be discrete, or they could be continuous or non-discrete. Now, what are events? So events, they are a subspace of your total sample space. Sample space was 1 2 3 4 5 6 for my dice, and I can choose an event out of my sample space. For example, I can say, all right, um, I'm interested in an event so that the numbers that I get should be greater than 5, or greater than 3, or greater than 2. All right. Um, or you could have, as given in the book, the outcome is odd. So in that case, the outcomes of your event will be 1 3 5. Outcome greater than 3 will be 4 5 and 6, and so on and so forth. You can build up these different events. Or other examples, for example, if I say pick a number between 0 and 1, any real number, it would be 0.5, 0.2, it could be 0.0004. So you can build up these events, and now the probability of these events, okay, is actually consisting of a function that can assign some values to these events. Okay. Now here we will again admit, I'm admitting. All right. So here the, yes. So I am trying to admit every student. So if even if some student is not being admitted, you can always tell me so that all the students are admitted in the lecture. Acha. What I was saying. Yes. Acha. Yes, if someone has any point, yes, you can say that point. If someone is having some problem in admission or any problem, or do you want to ask some question, you can ask now. Acha, no one has any question, or yes, someone has any question? All right, no one has, please mute yourselves so that there is no interference. Acha. What I was saying. Yes, so we have discussed outcomes, experiments, events, and all these samples of my sample space and all these things. So you can also read up here. Now, I told you about the axioms. Now let us try to connect the axioms of probability with these various definitions of events and sample space and all that. So here you can see these are the axioms are repeated here, but with respect to the new definition. So a probability of an event has to be between 0 and 1. The same axiom that we saw in the other book, in the Populous book. All right. Now probability of all the sample space has to be 1. All right. So if I say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outcomes of my dice. So there can be only these 6 outcomes. So these 6 outcomes, they make up my sample space. So let us say if my dice is even-handed from all the 6 sides. All right. So there is no the dice is there, it is a fair dice. So in that case, the probability of every event will be 1/6, and the probability of all the events or the full sample space will be 1/6 plus 1/6 into 6 times 1/6 times. This comes out to be 1. All right. So we have assigned a number to my events. So each of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events, okay, I have assigned a probability which is 1/6 because it was an even dice. All right. And the sum of the probabilities of all the sample space is always equal to 1. Okay. And you can see the and if those events are disjoint, for example, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 events and they are all disjoints. So the probability of the union of all of these events, okay, will be actually sum of the probabilities of the individual events. Yes, very simple. So probability of the whole sample space will be equal to the probability of 1 plus probability of 2 plus probability of 3, 4, 5, 6, like this. These are the 3 axioms. And you can see that in the previous book, these were the same axioms. All right. But here they are defined in terms of the various definitions that are necessary for understanding. So I will leave this these properties because again I have told you that we have to review these basic concepts that you have already studied. But if there is any problem, then you can discuss in the subsequent lectures. Now, the second thing that we need to revise is conditional probability. And actually, conditional probability is very important, especially in communications. All right. And as a rough example, I can just tell you that, let us say, I'm interested in the probability that a person might cross, let us say, I'm just in terms talking about, this is just abstract, this is not an actual story, but just an abstract talk. That let us just say that a person will cross, let us say, the Ravi Bridge between 6 and 10 p.m. What is the probability of a person crossing the Ravi Bridge of let us say of a particular person between these time slots. All right. So all right, you will have some sort of probability. But if I give some extra information, okay, that I have the probability that what is the probability that a person crosses between 6 and 10, but I have another information that I'm giving, that the person, the probability that person has crossed the bridge between 8 to 10. First I was saying between 6 to 10, but now I'm saying that the probability that the person has crossed the bridge from 8 to 10, let us say, is 1. This means that the person will definitely cross the bridge between 8 to 10. All right. So this additional probability has helped us in determining the probability of the actual problem. So these are called conditional probabilities that actually add up to the information that you need to know the original problem. So let us say we have two events, E1, E2, they have these probabilities, and an observer knows that E2 has occurred. Then the probability of E1 will not be probability of E1 anymore. Rather, it will be probability of E1 given that E2 has occurred. Because now you have some sort of additional information. So that additional information will help you in getting the probability of the actual or the first event or E1. All right. It might, that information might, if it doesn't help, then this means that those two set of information were independent. For example, if I say, all right, what is the probability of the person crossing the Ravi bridge between 6 and 10? And I say, all right, I have the probability that the person crosses the bridge, or the probability of the person crossing the bridge between 2 and 4 is 0. All right. So this information will not help me, because we are saying that that person doesn't cross the bridge between 2 and 4. Okay, so when it does cross, I have no other information. Okay, but when an information is correlated to the information that you are asking, then that information really helps, and it makes your life easier, or the probability for that unknown event at your end, or the unknown probability for the event that you want to find, actually that probability increases if the informations are correlated. So mostly, or in fact, the information that the observer receives, it changes the probabilities of the various events. And these new probabilities which help us, they are called actually conditional probabilities. So they are denoted by P, probability of E1. Achha. So the probability that event E1 occurs, given that the probability E2 has occurred, is given as the intersection of the probabilities of Haji, if someone has any question, please raise your hand first. Or if someone is not able to enter, then you can just tell me. I am trying to admit anyone who is in the waiting room. Right. So at this time, all the students are in the waiting room. So please, everyone, mute yourself so that there is no more. So I have muted one person. All right. So that there is no more disturbance. All right. All right. Let us go further. Achha. So the probability of E1 given E2 is the probability of the intersection of both the events, okay, divided by the probability of E2. Again, and this is the condition that probability of E2 must not be equal to 0. Now, if it happens that probability of E1 given E2 gives you the same probability of E1, then this means that the knowledge given by E2 is not helpful, because it has not helped me in increasing the probability of the event E1. And in that case, E1 and E2 are said to be independent. And once they are independent, this means that the probability of their intersections is equal to the product is equal to the product of their individual probabilities or their individual event probabilities. All right. So again, I know this you have already studied, but as conditional probabilities, they become very, very important, especially with respect to communication problems. That is why I have just revised them. Acha. Let us discuss this problem. I think this problem is also fairly unique. Again, we don't have to cover all the problems, but let us just do one problem so that it gives you an idea, or the importance of conditional probabilities becomes apparent in your minds. Now, let us say I have a fair die, all right, and the probability of A. So A is an event and I have to define my event. I say A event is defined as the outcome is greater than 3. So what is the probability that the outcome of your dice is greater than 3? You know, my outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So 3 numbers, 4, 5, 6 are always greater than 3. All right. So the probability of the number greater than 3 are probability of 4, probability of 5, and probability of 6. And all these are independent events. All these are independent events. So the probability of their union or of their sample space, according to the, the third axiom, that will be equal to probability of the first independent plus probability of the second independent plus probability of the third independent, and that will be 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6, 3 over 6. This will come out to be 1 over 2. All right. Then we have probability of B, and B is defined as an event when the outcome is even. All right, now we know when the outcome is even, this means the numbers from 1 to 6 will be 2, 4, 6, and all of them are again disjoint. So again use the famous axiom, okay, which I told you this axiom. If you have disjoint events, and the union of those events will always be equal to probability of the union of those events will be always equal to the sum of their individual probabilities. So using the third axiom, okay, you can very well see it will be 1 over 6. This will be also 1 over 2. Now let us say we are trying to find the probability of A given B. Right? Again, very, very famous problem. Probability of finding A given B. What this means? This means I want to find the probability that A will occur given B. Now my A was, or in other words, I will say the probability that my output of my dice is greater than 3 given that my output is even. Given that my output is even. This is the all right, this is the understanding that we want to create. This is the problem that we want to find. Now again, applying the formula, if I just apply the formula at this level, then I know that this will be equal to probability of the intersection of A and B. So what is the intersection of A and B? Intersection of A and B, you can very well see cannot be 5 because it's not an even number. Yes, this is an even number and this is an even number. So these P4 and P6, these are the intersection. So A intersection B will be 4 and 6, and probability of 4 and 6 are disjoint. So from the axiom, this will be equal to probability of 4 plus probability of 6. All right. And a probability divided probability of B, the conditional comes in the denominator PB, so which is already 1 over half, which we have found 1 over half, and this is 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6. This comes out 2 over 6, and then 2 over 6 divided 1 over 2, this will come out to be 2 ones are and 2 threes are. This comes out to be 2 over 3. All right. So we have seen that the probability of A given B is greater, has increased. If probability of A was actually half, or probability of A given, this B has helped us, because it helped us that this B information helped us that the outcome is even. So we were able to get rid of this 5. All right. So overall, you can see the probability of a given B has now come out to be equal to 2 over 3. This is a very good example of the importance of conditional probabilities. So I think you have also studied this thing. Bayes rule and all that. I think this shouldn't be repeated. One example was more than enough. Let's go further now. So we have understood a little bit about events and sample spaces and their probabilities and conditional probabilities and all that. Now let us go to the random variable. What is a random variable? Now random variable is actually a mapping from the space, from the sample space. What was the sample? Sample space was the set of all the possible outcomes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, to the set of real numbers. Okay, so actually random variable is an assignment of real numbers to the outcomes of the random experiment. As you can see here, this a very good definition is here. You can read up there. So if let us say your mapping says that whatever element I take from sample space, the random variable is the same value. All right, then in that case, the elements of sample space, they will become a random variable. Okay, but you can also assign some function. All right, so in that case, the output of that function will be a random variable. All right, a schematic diagram you can see in figure 5.1. So yes, it is a very good. Okay, these are your elements of your sample space, omega 1, and they have been mapped onto the real line, okay, by the help of some function x of f or x of omega. Okay, so now you have a mapping of your events, okay, to the set of real numbers. So again, you can see that in throwing dice, the player wins the amount that the die shows if the result is even, and loses the amount if it is odd. Then what should be the random variable? The random variable will be omega and minus omega. Yes, because if it is even, then he wins or he gains those things, so it will be plus omega. But if it is odd, then he loses the amount, so it will be subtracted, and in that way it is represented as minus of omega. All right, minus 1 minus 3 minus 5, then in that case will be plus 2 plus 4 or plus 6. Right, so this is a mapping. So normally random variables, they are capital. All right, and again, I have told you about what is a discrete, so no need to repeat. And I've also told you about continuous random variables. So yes, so we have discussed about discrete and continuous, events when we were discussing. But now we will also have random variables that could be discrete and continuous. All right. So I could have, let us say, I have a discrete sample space. So in that case, my random variables will be discrete because I will have to map each one of them to a real space. But if let us say if my values are continuous, then in that case, if I apply any mapping for a random variable, so random variable will also be continuous. For example, you know the famous uniform random variable, let us say between 0 and 1. So that random variable can take any values between 0 and 1. Acha, I think you all know about the CDF and the distribution function or the cumulative distribution function. All right, so no need to repeat it. And all these properties are there. Similarly, you also know about the PDF, the probability density function, which is a derivative of the cumulative distribution function. And I know you all know this also. And yes, the basic properties of the probability density function are as follows. Again, value of the density function is always greater than or equal to 0, and the sum of all the values of the density function is always equal to 1. So you can see that this actually follows from the same characterization as, or from the same axioms of probability that we have studied before. Okay. Now what has just happened, that we have represented our random variable in terms of its CDF or in terms of its PDF. Okay. So what happened, that actually we had a random variable capital X, and from that random variable you can very easily create construct your CDF. Okay. You know what is your CDF? So it is actually the sum, or you can say the set of all the probabilities of the random number being less than a number X. All right. So in that way it is defined for any random variable. It will be defined as sum of all the possibilities of the random values less than that value at which I'm defining my CDF. And all these properties are there. And you know, and we have seen in your previous classes that once you take the derivative, you get the probability distribution function. So which actually defines the probability of each value of X, and the properties are there that it will be greater than 0, and the sum of its integral from infinity to infinity will be equal to 1. This is the CDF of discrete random variable. So if we let us say I have a discrete random variable, what is the example of a discrete random variable? For example, this dice, I said, let us say that the outcome of this dice is mapped to its own value. All right, whatever the sample space value, that is the value of my random variable. All right. So if X is sample value, the value is also X. In that case, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and 5, 5, or 6, 6. These are just the outcomes. All right. So if I calculate my CDF, all right. So it is a little bit different because it is starting from minus, but let us just say, so the value, let us say, of probability of the first is this one, the probability of the second one will add on it, and then the sum of all the probabilities will give you 1. All right, this will be the CDF for discrete and a variable, so they are being added discretely. And similarly, if I have a continuous, so again they will be added continuously till my CDF जो है वो it becomes 1. ठीक है, because the sum will finally become 1 when once the probabilities of all the random or of all the rated random variables are added up, it always come out to be 1. So it is a mixed random variables. There is discreteness here, and then there is continuity, and the properties are as follows. So this was when we were talking about continuous random variables, which I talked that it depends a continuous sample space, and its CDF and PDF, they were discussed. So they were giving us this continuous. But what happens if I have a discrete sample space? So you know, discrete sample space, this will give us a discrete random variable. So for discrete random variable, instead of our PDF, we have probability mass function. All right. So in that case, this will be Px is equal to xi probability of each individual. As it was fx, this will be Px is equal to xi probability of any event. For example, for a dice, right? So its CDF will be as shown above like this. For a discrete one, this was its CDF, but its probability mass function with the probability of the individuals. Okay, but if you once you add them all again, it will come out to be 1. Now, what are the important random variables? Yes, someone just want to share something? All right. So what are the important random variables? Again, I won't go into detail into these random variables. You might have said all of them, but famous one, you know, are the uniform random variables or the Gaussian normal random variable, Gaussian random variable, or the Gaussian or the normal random variable. These are very famous, and I think you have all studied in your previous courses that random variable Gaussian mean zero mean Gaussian random variable would mean 0. So and standard deviation is 1 and all that. Acha, have you studied about the Q function? Have you studied? Yes, any student has studied about this Q function for a random variable, especially for the normal random variable. Has anyone studied the Q function? So no one has studied. Let us just maybe we not need to revise this. Should we revise it? So I won't cover these multiple random variables and all that. So Jacobian matrix, I think you all have studied this. So we will be discussing them when once they come in our course. All these joint distributions you have studied before. But if I find something which I found that you have not studied, then I will definitely cover it. Some of random variables we will discuss, or random process we have to discuss. So let us again come back to our lecture. So let us, all right, I don't know if we, yes, anyone has studied Q function? You can just tell me if none of the, if someone has studied, you can just say yes. If none of you can just not say anything, or you can say no. No problem. I just want to know, or I think no one knows. So let us just revise this. This is a famous Gaussian random variable. So the other, this is a uniform random variable. All right. So it could be any number between A and B, and the PDF of all the numbers will be 1 over B minus A. So this means it is a uniform random variable. So if you plot this PDF, it will be a straight line. Okay. And then you have the Gaussian random variable. It is given as follows. All right. So you know it is in the case of a bell-shaped curve, and the bell is its mean is at M, and sigma is called the famous standard deviation. Sigma square is called the variance. Okay. So a Gaussian variable has mean of M and its variance is sigma square. And then we have, if I write this as n m sigma square, where m is the mean and sigma square is the variance. And if I write this as n0, and this means the mean is 0 and the variance is 1. So this type of Gaussian variable is called the standard normal. Anyone has any question?
No, sir.
No. All right. All right. Now, Gaussian is very important, especially in communications, and the reason is, you know, noise. Almost all the thermal noise that we encounter is basically of a Gaussian random variable. Okay. And you will see it in detail. Acha. So you can see the PDF and the PMF. PMF will be for discrete and PDF will be for continuous of the above random variables, or the famous random variables. And you can see that. Now this, I don't know, should I teach you this? But let us just, for sake of knowledge, I think. So what is a Q function? All right. So Q function is Q function for any value x, where x is the value of your random variable capital X, where capital X is a standard normal random variable, which means n01. All right, a Gaussian random variable, 0 mean and 1 standard deviation. So Q of x, okay, it will be defined as the probability of all the all the values of my Gaussian random variable, standard Gaussian, that are greater than the x. All right. So you can very well see this will be equal to the integration of my probability distribution function of continuous, because Gaussian is a continuous random variable. All right. So this is its, you can see here that if I have mean 0, this becomes x square. If variance is 1, this becomes just 1. This will be x square over 2. All right, this is just 1. So 1 over 2 pi e minus x square over 2. So I use a dummy variable t. All right, e minus x t square over 2, 1 over 2 pi. This is my standard Gaussian random variable. And if I want to find the probability of the random numbers being greater than x, then this is simple. I will just integrate. Achha. Your internet connection is unstable. Achha. I hope all of you can hear me. I have not started a new session because this Zong can, I don't know how it is continuing till 2 hours. So if there is some internet problem, then you can please tell me. All right. So the probability Q of x is actually the probability of all the random numbers or which are greater than x. So this will be simple, the integration of all the PDFs from x to infinity. All right. Or you can say the probability of the random variable being greater than x will be Q of x. So let us say, for example, if I say, what is Q of infinity? What is Q of infinity? So this means probability of a random number being greater than infinity. So this will be 0 because no number. But if I say, what is Q of 0? So half of the random, if it is a standard Gaussian variable, so half of the random variable is greater than 0, while half of it, probability of half of it is less than 0. So Q of 0, you can see this will be x greater than 0. This will be 0 to infinity. So it is a uniform, it is a standard. It is uniform, it is standard. To go from infinity to minus infinity to plus infinity, from 0 to infinity, this means it is half. So this will come out to be half. So this was for binomial. This was for binomial. This is uniform, you can say straight line. This is the famous Gaussian, and this is the standard Gaussian, you can see, and this is the Q function. So it could be 0. If it is 0, then this will be half. But if it is x, so it will be the probability of integrating from here to all the values greater than x. So you can see Q of 0 is half and Q of infinity is, as I just told you. These are the various, it is always tabulated, so it is given in the exam with this tablet. So I won't go into again detail of other things. So we just have to, I think you all know about the mean and the variance of a random variable, so no need to repeat it. Then we have functions of random variable. All right. So that I think you also have studied. So if you define a function on a random variable, for example, y is equal to g of x, then this y also becomes a random variable. Okay. And you can again find the cumulative distributed function of your y. Similarly, you can find the PDF of your y. All right. And there are various methods of finding the PDF. And I know most of the methods you have already studied. And again, I won't go into detail. So mean, aa gaya, standard deviations, variances and all that. Achha. Then many times we also have functions of multiple random variables. All right. So you can define joint PDFs if it is random variables, which is we have defined a joint cumulative distribution function. Again, its properties are there. As we have defined the conditional probability, we can also define the conditional density function or conditional probability density function. So same, matlab ki same structure, P of y given x. Okay. So there, you know, it was x intersection with y. So here, this is joint distribution of xy. And then it was there, it was divided by probability of b. Here it will be divided by the probability of x. Whatever is in the denominator will always come here, and same thing, not 0, and this is 0. So again, there you could see the independence, but that was in terms of probability. Here this will be in terms of a random variables. So if it doesn't help, the information is the same, remains the same. Then you can see that this means that the random variables are independent. And once they're independent, then you can always write fxy as just the product of fx fy. So this means if I put this value here, you know, fx cancel, then you have just fy. So f of y given x remains as fy. So this conditional distribution has not helped us in determining the distribution of fy. So these distributions, I want to determine their joint distribution, and if they're independent, you just multiply them individually. Take a distribution of one and the other, just multiply, and you will get the joint distribution. And similarly, you can get the expected value of a random variable that is a function of two random variables by applying the same approach as you applied the approach for finding the expected value of a single random variable. The approaches remain the same, but the number of random variables, for example, you know, mean of a single random, what was the formula for finding the mean of a simple random variable x? So, you know, it is equal to the random variable multiplied by its distribution function. All right. So that was the mean. So if I want to find the mean of a random variable, which is in itself a function of two random variables, all right. So here you will get the complex random variable, which is a function of the two random variables, and then the joint distribution of the random variables that are making up that that joint distribution, or that random variable. So you can see here that if I want to find the mean of this function of two random variables, so it will be equal to, you know, the new random variable of the which is a function of two random variables. This is a new random variable g, okay, times the joint distribution of xy, okay, joint distribution of fx xy, and then integral. So this will give you the expected value of the g, which is a function of two random variables x and y. And if you have two random variables, then their then their expectation of their simple product is actually called the correlation. Okay. And if x and y are independent, then their joint distribution will be equal to the product of their independent. So it will be E of x times E of y because they are independent. So their distributions, their joint distribution will be equal to the product of their individual here we are talking about the means. The joint is mean of the joint will be equal to product of the mean of the individuals. But once the distribution is independent, you can also say that the joint distribution is equal to product of fx and fy, as you just saw here. You can see it was an independent, so independent is just equal to joint of the independents will be equal to product of the individuals. So if I take the mean of the joint will be equal to mean of fx times mean of fy, because they are all independents. Okay, no correlation, so their mean will be just the products of their UAVs. अच्छा, ठीक है. So and we also have this term is defined as the covariance of x and y. Okay, so covariance of x y is actually the difference of the correlation minus the independence. So if I say that I have independent, in case of independent x and y, then I know that exy is equal to ex and ey. In that case, this will be equal to this, so this will be 0, and you will have 0 covariance. Okay, but in the but where x and y are not independent, then e of xy will not be equal to exy. All right, so in that case, covariance will not be 0. 0 then is equal, and x and y are called uncorrelated random variables. Okay, because their joint is product of individuals. This means they're totally independent or they are uncorrelated. Actually, we can leave all of this, so don't want to make problems, just want to cover the basis. So multiple functions of multiple random variables, and I know this you have studied in your previous, so we won't go into detail of the Jacobians that you have already studied. अच्छा, यहाँ पे मेरे ख्याल से अटेंडेंस के लिए आपकी क्लास में मुझे एक एक स्टूडेंट से शायद पूछना पड़ेगा. मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ पे डाउनलोड तो नहीं होता इधर जूम का, मुझे इतना ऐसे आइडिया नहीं है. Enable lock meeting. All right, so I will be taking your attendance in a while, no problem. Let us just finish as much as possible. So sum of random variables. This is actually important, and I would like to discuss this very important concept of sum of random variables. Now, please try to understand this point. Kamran Khan has raised his hand. All right. Yes, Kamran Khan, what do you want to share?
Sir, there will be another class at 7 p.m.
All right.
Just I want you to know.
All right. So what I will try to take your attendance as soon as possible. All right. Okay. Just I will discuss this and I will end the lecture. Take your attendance and try to free you. Oh. All right. So sum of random variables. So let us say I have a sequence of random. You know, you have studied sequence and series in your pre-FSC or pre-grad classes. So let us say I have a sequence. All right. And I want to see the average of my sequence numbers. or the behavior of their average. So I just sum up all these numbers and I divide them by the total numbers which are present. So I can get their average. And what it says actually that then this y will be expected to be less random than each xi, because yes, you have taken the average of all of these randoms. So yes, the average will be less random. As you can see, average of a number is let us say of one random variable is actually matlab ke a constant, but let us say there is a sequence and sequence increasing and decreasing, but whatever, once you take the sum and divide by the number of the total sample space, definitely it will be always less random. So the law of incidence are statements of this intuitive fact. So this intuitive fact actually comes out in the law of numbers and the central limit theorem. Or we will discuss this later. Okay? This is not a difficult, but it connects us with the famous constant random variable, and a very important part of communication difference. So we will take this important part later. So I will mark your attendances. All right, let us see how to mark them. So what should I do? I should click also. All right. So some students, they have their roll numbers, while some students, they have their names. So I think I will take your roll numbers. All right. Hamna Shaheen. What is your roll number?
Present, sir.
Oh yes, you are. I can see
03.
03. All right. So you are all of 20 session. All right. 20 electrical 03. All right. Acha, Muhammad
Yes,
Arif.
sir.
All right. Thank you. Muhammad Arif Shamim. Muhammad Arif Shamim, what is your roll number? Muhammad Arif Shamim. Can you hear me? All right. I'm sorry. You have to say your attendance so that I can mark it. Or Kamran Khan, what is your roll number? Kamran Khan?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
02.
02. Good. Achha, thank you. Muhammad Arif Shamim is not speaking up. Hamna Shaheen is, we have already taken attendance. Achha, ek minute. Achha, so Muhammad Arshad, I can just see your roll number is given 04. Muhammad Arshad, can you hear me? Muhammad Arshad. Muhammad Arshad. Muhammad Arshad, you have also raised your hand. Yes, can you hear me?
Sir.
All right, very good. Thank you. So your roll number is 4. All right. Hamna
Yes,
Shaheen.
sir.
All right. Then I can see Shahrish Nazir. Can you hear me? Shahrish
Yes,
Nazir.
sir.
All right, good. Your attendance is marked. Then I have कौन रह गया? Yes, 09. Yes, who is this 09? Are you present? 09.
Mahnoor, present.
Mahnoor. All right. Mahnoor. All right. Thank you. Then I have this MS 2010. 10 roll number. Yeah, I think you were the first one to enter
Present,
the
sir.
class. Present. What is your
Yes,
name?
sir. Sayyid Wajihul Hasan Gilani.
Achha, Wajir Gilani. All right. Good. Thank you. MS 09 bhi ho gaya. And then I can see this MS 21. Yes, what is your name?
Yes,
21.
Hafiz Abdul Hasib.
All right. All right. Your attendance is also marked. Achha, और कौन रह गए? Faiza Salim. Can you hear me?
Present, sir.
All
Present,
right.
sir.
All right. So you are also present. Thank you. अच्छा जी और कौन रह गया? Azeen Ahmad Hayat. Roll number
Yes, sir.
27.
Present.
अच्छा ठीक हो गया. So I think I have अच्छा एक रह गया. Mohammad Naveed. 28 roll number. Can you hear me? Mohammad Naveed.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. I think I have marked the attendance of almost all the students. Okay. So I think
No, sir.
Achha, no. Oh, all right.
Rimsha Yaqub, 30, roll number.
Achha, 30 is also there. I couldn't see. I'm sorry. Where is this 30 roll number?
Sir, 30 mention नहीं है, only name है Rimsha.
अच्छा नेम है. अच्छा रिमशा फिर मुझसे रह गया. रिमशा नेम किधर चला गया? अच्छा रिमशा. Yes,
हेलो सर
you are right. Rimsha
Hello?
is also there. एक सेकंड, हाँ जी, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं? 30 का मैंने लगा लिया, आगे चलो।
हेलो
जी जी, आप कुछ कहना चाह
हेलो
रहे हैं?
सर
जी जी,
हेलो
हाँ, हेलो, मुझे आवाज आ रही है।
सर माय रोल नंबर इज 18 आई एम
अच्छा
प्रेजेंट
अच्छा, गुड।
मोहम्मद आरिफ शमीम
Arish, 118. Yeah, I will also. Where is your name? Yes, I can see. All right,
मोहम्मद
all right. You are marked. All right, Mohammed Arish, I have marked your attendance. All right, good.
यस सर
Sir, roll number
118
34.
Yes, 34. Khatija, I mean, I can also see you. 34. All right, very good. I think I have marked all any student who is left. So attendance is 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28, 30, and 34. All right. I think I have marked all the students. So I will
Yes,
try
sir.
to modernize this type of attendance because this is taking a lot of time. All right. So I will end this lecture. And I think it is, I have recorded this. So I will stop the recording and I will discuss with your CR so that we have a process of updating them or on the internet. कैसे end होता है? Stop recording. So all the lecture is ended. You can leave the class. Thank you very much. So I